Phases. Phase one, it was a summer of love. My dad, my mom, both hippies. It was a day that I came into this world. My father being a hippie at Woodstock, my mother giving birth to me, not at Woodstock. It was kind of the place where the chaos became real. It was the moment that things spiraled out of control. I knew that I was destined to become something great. My grandmother was the one person who kept on persevering and saying, great things are coming, despite the chaos, despite the insanity, despite all the things around you that are pulling you down. But she was the one. Let me explain how I got there. Phase two. As a child, a young boy, 8 years old, I was molested by a family member. Someone who was trusted, somebody who was put into place to protect me. Someone who created this insanity, this world of hell that I was forged into. Someone who betrayed me and betrayed the trust that my family gave him. He created a monster that wasn't pretty, that wasn't full of love, but full of hate. A monster that later I learned how to control and learned how to become a great monster. That's what I knew at that time. That's what I was, a monster. Phase three for me was the kitchen. 11-year-old me, little guy, walks into a kitchen, fire, yelling, screaming, drugs, alcohol. It was home. It was a comfort zone. It was a place that I could relate to. The chaos at home, the chaos in the kitchen became the same. So by 11 years old, 11 and a half, I had my first line of cocaine, which was pretty impressive when you're 11 years old and that's what your world is about. By 12 years old, I was dealing drugs to my friends, but I was very protective. I was very protected by people around me because I was an earner. And when you earn, you're always in good company. So the world became what it was for me, the spiral. But there's another lifetime. It was another way for me to get out of the darkness that I thought I could get out of by doing the drugs. Phase four, the spiral continued. My relationships with people was angry. It was violent. Hell, when I was 13 years old, I had a fist fight with my stepfather on Thanksgiving Day. Well, happy Thanksgiving to you, Eric. Here's a fistful of teeth. Lessons were learned. Life happened. Chaos continued in my life, and it continued to grow. But I found my place. Even with these low, dirty, down, scumbag people in my life, I found my place, and it was home for the moment. I didn't know this, but the next step of life was coming for me. Phase five. It was kind of at the end of phase four where I wound up in Central Park, half naked, a needle of heroin in my toes, bleeding out of my nose, freezing in the snow. And I felt the hand of God for the first time in my life. I felt what it was like to be loved. And I heard a voice. It said, no more. So I stood up, put my wet jacket on, my wet shirt on, and I walked from Central Park to Brooklyn, to my church, where Father Pete explained to me that I had been touched by the hand of God. I was alive for the first time. I was actually able to feel something more than hate for the first time in my life. Something was coming, something big. Didn't know what it was, but it was something huge. As life went by, I progressed in my career, and things started to really happen. I was getting international recognition, national recognition, loads of awards, loads of praise for what I was doing in my career. Then I turned 29, and everything stopped. I was hit with my first diagnosis of cancer at 29. And I've been through more cancer than I cared to talk about, I cared to admit, and doctors are baffled by it because, for all intents and purposes, I probably should be dead. I was scheduled on September 12th to appear on a Food Network show called Chopped. The day before, September 11th, the wonderful day that is, I was told by my oncologist that I had terminal cancer and I had 6 to 8 months to live. So I can tell you that when I woke up the next morning on September 12th to go to the Food Network, the family asked me, well, what are you doing? Where are you going? And the only response that I had, which is typical me, is, well, I'm going to go win a show, or die trying. And wound up winning. In the moment that I'll call phase 6, I had a moment of clarity. I had a moment of purpose. I realized that in this competition, I could win, and I could go home a winner. But more importantly, I had the moment of clarity that I could beat this cancer, that no matter what I did, no matter what happened in my life at this moment, that I could persevere, at least try. And if I win and I die a winner. And if I lose and I die, what are they going to say? This guy sucks, he couldn't beat cancer or win a competition? I'll take my chance. And I did wind up winning. I can't explain to you what it's like when someone tells you that you're going to die, that you're given a death sentence. But what I can tell you is what it's like when they say you're cancer-free, that you survived something that most people wouldn't. I was diagnosed with a rare form of chronic lymphocytic leukemia called Richter syndrome. Very rare, very, very deadly. So when my oncologist told me I had 6 to 8 months to live, I had a choice. It was another phase in my life, an opportunity in my life to either sit back and be average, which wasn't what I was built for, or to fire it up and step up and fight as hard as I can to beat this. And beat it I did. Through trauma came triumph. No one said it would ever be easy. No one said that I would ever be normal. Normal doesn't suit me, nor does average. But the one thing that came out of everything in my life is that I know my purpose and my why now. I know that my reason to live is to serve others, my staff, my family, my people, you, the world, the universe. The biggest takeaway for me has been that there is hope, there is faith, and at the end of the day, like my mom says, there is always, always love. Love's the answer. And thank you.
Wow.